what does it really mean to become a girl? I mean, not just to be one, but to be actively molded into one. Today, we're diving deep into that very question with Alice Munro's incredible short story, Boys and Girls. It's a powerful look at that exact moment a child's world gets split in two by what society expects. This line right here, it's the key to the entire story. Just notice the shift in her words, from what I was to what I had to become. That doesn't sound like a natural, easy process, does it? It sounds like a demand, and that's the central conflict we're going to break down. So here's how we'll walk through her journey. First up, we'll look at the divided world she lives in. Then we'll feel that pressure of girlhood as it really starts to build. We'll witness her one powerful, split-second act of rebellion. And finally, we'll unpack the devastating fallout from a single sentence. She's only a girl. To really get our narrator, you first have to understand her world. And her world is literally split right down the middle into two very different, almost warring territories. Her father's domain and her mother's. And you can see the battle lines are drawn so clearly here. Her father's outside world, that's a place of freedom, of skill, where real, ritualistically important work gets done. But then you have her mother's inside world, which feels like a trap, full of endless, dreary, and as she puts it, peculiarly depressing work. So it's really no surprise which world she'd rather be in. She sees herself as her father's hired man, working right there beside him, and she's proud of it, proud of her strength and her usefulness. His work, skinning foxes for their pelts, it might be kind of gruesome, but to her, it's vital. It's real. It's the engine that makes their whole life run. And then there's this. This is the prison she is so desperate to escape. The kitchen isn't just a room, it's a feeling. It's hot, it's sticky, it's claustrophobic. She starts to see her own mother not just as a parent, but as an enemy who's always plotting to drag her into this domestic cage and away from all the freedom of the outdoors. But it's not just the physical walls of the house that are closing in on her. These invisible walls of what society expects are rising up too, and they're turning her from just being a person into being a definition. This is such a subtle but incredibly powerful detail. Her own imagination is basically getting colonized. Think about it. She used to dream about being the active hero, riding out on a horse and saving people. But now she finds herself daydreaming about being rescued, and she's focusing on what she looks like, what dress she'd be wearing. Her whole sense of self is being reshaped from the inside out. The story does something really clever here. It uses two horses to symbolize the two different paths her life could take. First, you've got Mac. He's old, dependable, useful. His ultimate fate to become feed for the foxes, well, that represents a pretty grim, predictable, and necessary kind of life. But then there's Flora, and she is the complete opposite. She's wild, she's spirited, she's full of what the story calls gallantry and abandon. Flora is basically the narrator's own spirit in horse form, that untamed desire for freedom that just refuses to be broken. In all this time, the lessons just keep on coming. Little criticisms from her grandmother, comments from people in town, her mom wanting more help in the kitchen. It all just starts to pile up. The word girl stops being just a simple description. It becomes a rulebook, a set of instructions she's suddenly expected to follow. Okay, so all of this pressure, it's building up to one single moment of crisis, the story's climax. It all comes down to a split-second decision that is going to define everything. One day, it's Flora's turn to be shot for fox feed, but she makes a break for it. She bolts. And watching this horse just run, wild, desperate, and free, it's like our narrator is watching her own soul try to escape. It's absolutely thrilling, and it's also terrifying. And this is it. This is the moment of truth. She runs to the gate, the only way out for Flora. Her father, the man whose world she's always admired, gives her a direct order. Shut the gate. Trap the horse. End the dream. In that moment, she has to pick a side. She chooses Flora. In this one single act of pure rebellion against her father, against the farm, against how things are supposed to be, she swings the gate wide open. For just one brief moment, she chooses freedom, knowing full well it probably can't last. But of course, a moment like that has consequences. The final scene happens where all family verdicts seem to happen, right at the dinner table. And this is where the New World Order is officially declared. Her younger brother, Laird, is the one who exposes her. He proudly tells their father exactly what she did.
And just notice his role now, he's not just her little brother anymore. He's become a little enforcer for his father's world, ratting her out.
And this is the line that changes everything. Her father doesn't yell. He doesn't even punish her. He just says, she's only a girl. And with those 4 little words, he both forgives her and completely dismisses her from his world. Her rebellion wasn't a real betrayal because, hey, as a girl, her actions just aren't that important anymore.
So what we've just seen unfold here is a perfect example of what sociologists call gender socialization. It's that subtle and sometimes not so subtle process of being taught all the unwritten and sometimes very written rules of your gender, how you're supposed to act, what you're supposed to want, and where you belong.
And this, right here, is maybe the most tragic part of the whole story. She doesn't fight back. She doesn't even argue against it in her own head. She just thinks, maybe it was true. And that little word, maybe, that's the sound of her surrendering. It's the end of her childhood belief that she could be absolutely anything she wanted to be. All right, so let's just sum up the big takeaways here. This story shows us how physical spaces, that whole inside versus outside thing, can define social roles. We saw how a symbol, like that horse, Flora, can reveal a character's deepest desires. We learned how powerfully the labels society gives us can shape our identity. And finally, that really heartbreaking idea that for some, growing up just means accepting the limits other people place on you. Which leaves us with this final thought. Munro's story might be about a girl on a fox farm decades ago, but its theme is absolutely universal. So it's worth asking ourselves, how do all those early lessons and labels still affect us today? What gates have we been told to shut, and which ones do we still dare to open?